Hi guys, welcome to another devcast. Today I'm going to talk about latest updates in Vertex Color Painter. It will be quick and to the point. One of the major changes that had to be done in Vertex Color Painter was out of necessity, and that necessity is that actually some of you that use the Vertex Color Painter already know that you cannot save data back to the FBX inside Unity. It's not possible, similarly to if you are using, for example, another assets in Unity and you basically change them and then mark them dirty. Unity will resave that asset back to the asset. This is not possible for FBX. So even though you could paint your FBXs in Unity using Vertex Color Painter, these data got lost once you exited from Unity. It was only for that runtime usage, which is not very useful. So I've checked how some other tools do it, some how does Unity do it, and the only option at the moment seems to be outside of some far-fetched options like exporting FBXs through some pipeline, which is not really simple, especially for complex FBXs. The only option is to basically, once you start painting, put the data on the instance itself, so that the data will be driven by a different component and it will be saved into the instance itself. There will be also option to export it. Obviously, you can export it to an asset, to a Unity standard asset, or you can export it to FBX if you want to get it to the third-party program using the FBX package from Unity, but that's outside of scope for the Vertex Painter. And additionally, once all these changes were done, there are some other, mainly UX changes to speed up the process that some other tools don't have, and that we actually need to make it more easy to paint or especially fill colors inside Unity. So let's jump into it. This is the latest version, which will be released today, and it is the Vertex Color Painter 0.1.5. So as I said, if you start painting, let me show you from scratch. So for example, you have this FBX, which is a box inside this house. It's a smaller box. So if you just drag and drop the FBX into the hierarchy, it's basically some kind of variant on prefab, but it's an FBX because you see the icon is different. But basically, it's a prefab with bunch of components, and you have this mesh filter component which is driven by the FBX asset. So if I start painting and I would paint to this FBX asset, as I mentioned, I wouldn't be able to save the data. So if I start painting, what happens is that the data is now saved to internally on this uh, object in hierarchy, and it's mentioned in the painted mesh filter component that it is driven by the internal data, so it's no longer based on this asset. And you know the original asset, it saves the GUID of the original asset, so you can go to the original asset if you want to, for example, reimport, and then there is a reimporting option that I will talk about later. So now if I paint, I obviously need to assign a vertex color material to this. If I paint, uh, I'm now painting onto this instance. So that's basically it on the saving side. So I have this house from one of our projects, and I already started painting. As you can see, it's the you get these materials, the vertex color material. You don't see the mesh filter because the mesh filter is hidden by this painted mesh or filter component, even though this doesn't extend the mesh filter directly because mesh filter is a sealed class, obviously. So what it does is an additional component and basically tells to the mesh filter that it should be hidden, but it is driven by this component. So let's talk about the UX changes that I hope a lot of you will find really useful, because if you have this mesh, as you can see, it has 19 submeshes. It would be kind of hard to, okay, now I don't really know what submesh I'm working on, even though uh, I am now filling submeshes. So let's try. Okay, so this is the submesh, or this is the submesh, and so on. So let's say I wanted to paint the roof. It's easy, you can click on it, but let's say there is a different option. So if you, yes, especially if you want to iterate the the colors faster, like no, I want it different. Okay, let's change it and so on. So I can autofill, which will basically automatically change the color on the submesh when I change this. So I can go and now change this color. It will automatically change the color on the submesh. Which submesh? Which is selected. You can also select it here from the list, and to make it more simple, you already see all the colors that the submeshes currently have. Take into account the submesh obviously if it has more vertices, it can have more colors, but for our usage, one submesh basically most of the time has single color. So it will all pick the first color in the buffer, in the color buffer that is on that submesh, and will think that obviously all the colors are of the same value. So let's say I wanted to paint the roof. I can go to this one and just change it like this to iterate, and then I want to go to, for example, this and change it, which is this barrel at the end. But again, what if I want to pick this submesh uh, from the scene view? That's additional thing that I added. It's if you have the painting enabled and you press Control key, it will automatically highlight the submesh you are working with, or you will select. So once I click on this one, it will automatically select that submesh and also select the brush color to fit the color that the mesh currently had. So, and I can change it to this and so on. Additionally, I can go even more directly, and that's the final thing I added actually today. And it's if I press the control and I'm selecting the submeshes, I can go and right click on that, and it will automatically create an instance of a color picker, which is internal Unity class. So again, a bit of reflection going on, and it may change once the Unity changes its API. So let me know if you update to Unity that doesn't support this direct color picker, because I would probably need to change the reflection behind it, because it's very, I need to go to editor assembly to get the type, then I need to get one of the overloaded static methods on that internal type, and then I need to call it. So a lot of things that may change if Unity decides to change the API. So, but it works at the moment for version 20.3.28, and I think it will work for all the known versions because the API didn't change, but it may change in the future. So you can directly change the color, go here, pick the roof, change the roof color, go here, pick the cat, and so on. And this is very fast iteration. You don't really even need to work with the bottom panel. So that's the UX changes for the painting. And now there is this reimporting, because as I mentioned, you are not directly changing the FBX, but you, one of your artists may decide to, let's say, add an additional chimney. And he needs to add the additional chimney on the FBX. He obviously will need to reimport because this is not the FBX anymore. So I need to reimport this geo. But if I just reimported the geometry without going the full circle, like exporting my color data into, for example, let's say Blender, add the chimney, and then importing it with the color data again. If I'm just working on the original FBX, which doesn't have the color data, I need to basically map and match these two geometries, because if I didn't do that and I would reimport a geometry without color data, I would lose all my color data that I already have on this nice house. So what reimport does is very similar to like bone mapping, for example. So let's say I want to reimport this one, so I see all the submeshes currently on let's say original, which is this instanced version, and now there is this data about the mesh I'm importing. and it lets me reorder these these meshes. Basically, I'm at the moment I'm re-importing the same geometry, so it fits. It's basically the same data. So let's say, for example, if I was importing this one, and it's a different story because now I only have one submesh on the re-importing side, and it would basically be the color of the first submesh. But this is mainly to let you know that, especially if you have, which is I think the most probable scenario is you add some geometry. So you will have the list that is bigger on the right side than on the left side, and you need to know that okay, is the chimney that I added, because it may it seems logical, but it may not be the last submesh in the list. Obviously, depends on the exporter and so on. So you need to re-import it and to let it know that okay, the chimney needs to be the last, and it will automatically have a white color, and then I can colorize it without breaking up any of the colors that I already have in the scene. I can also use this to remap these colors if I wanted to. It's a funny thing. For example, I can just do this, and okay, there seems to be an error. I will fix that. But you basically can remap the geo that's already there. Okay, I fixed the reimport, uh, and I can show you. As you can see, the color changed because I tested it out. I can show you the remapping I mentioned. For example, I can just switch these meshes inside and it will remap the colors. You can use it like that, but it's not an intended usage, but it can be obviously done. The main, as I said, the main use case for this is if you add a geometry and the newly added geometry is actually not on the end of the list, and you need to reorder that. If you have any feedback on this remapping and additional information that you would like to see here, or some tweaks that would make this more easy to use, let me know. One of the things that I was thinking about is showing some kind of materials info here, but as you know, material is basically not part of the mesh structure. It's part of the mesh renderer, and which may not be there. It should be, but it may not be there inside on the game object, and it it's not the info that you would always have. So that's why I'm not showing it over here. So these are the main features of the upcoming version 0.1.5, and it will be released today. Thank you for watching.